The casting of Frank Stone is now over 2 weeks old, which means that we now had more than enough time with its characters. Hence, similarly to what we've done with the Quarry and Until Dawn, we are going to rank each character from worst to best. Now, for this game things are a little bit complicated due to having several versions of technically the same characters, so I'm just going to keep this very simple. We will rank any characters that appear in various timelines as 1. So no ranking sampled into twice, 1980 or 2024, it's basically the same character. So a lot of that being said, let's rank. I'm pretty sure this is a pretty common last place, right? I mean, Robert isn't terrible or anything, but out of all the characters in the game, by far the least exciting or special. You arguably interact with him the least and can play him. His scenes always play out the same, so there's not even like some fun several outcome things you can do with him. To sum up Robert in one sentence, he's Sam's generic son. That's really all he is. For some reason, also a potential love interest of Chris, but I quickly forgot that bullshit because it felt completely random anyways. By no means a bad character, but Robert is certainly the logical 9th and therefore last place in this ranking. Augustine is a bit of a weird one. On the one hand, I really enjoy her dialogue and voice acting. On the other hand, she's quite bland without a lot of sides to her character. She's just a typical well-dressed secretary villain that does speeches about serving some higher evil, and that's kinda it. We also only see her in chapter 2 and then don't see her again up until the final chapter, where no matter what you do, she just dies anyways. I mean, okay, I guess. Frank Stone is an awesome killer, but Augustine a generic villain at best. Not necessarily horrible and more relevant than Robert, but without a single doubt the 8th place in this ranking. Okay, wait, hold on, before you try to crucify me or anything, listen. I know that Bonnie is somewhat of a fan favorite that a lot of people were excited for given the teasers, but I just can't put her any higher than this looking at the rest of the cast. I was really excited for her as well. She got a cool look and she's a fun character in her own right, but she's just so insanely overlooked to the point where she feels nearly irrelevant. Irrelevant in the sense of how her character was written. Similarly to Robert, she's just basically Jaime's sister. She doesn't get a lot of screen time, she's not playable either, and she also always dies no matter what. Bonnie arguably could have been one of the best characters in the game and maybe ever, if they actually put in some effort for that to be the case. Looking at what we got, Bonnie's just a cool supportive character with not enough scenes, which is why I unfortunately can't put her any higher than place 7 of this ranking. Madison is kind of a weird case for me. On the one hand, I find her quite likable, on the other hand kind of boring and bland. Like, other than the fact that Bonnie is her mother, there's not really any traits about her worth pointing out. She just feels like your very typical final girl, even though she isn't always the final girl. Like, we spent so much time with her throughout the game, arguably even the most alongside Linda, yet she was never able to leave an impression on me other than the fact that she's likable. Like, that's kind of it. She's likable, but otherwise just bland. I don't hate her, but she's just okay, and therefore on place 6 of this ranking. Now this might be the most controversial pick of this ranking, even more controversial than putting Bonnie so low, but I feel like Stan was a great character. Not in the sense of he's a good person, but a good character in the sense of what he adds to the game. He arguably has some of the most entertaining dialogue, stands out, especially next to Madison, and just felt memorable. The ain't generic is what I'm trying to say. From the voice acting, mannerisms, character traits, he's fun to listen to, and the spot in the story as the slimy asshole that just wants to make some cash, even becoming a criminal in the process, is also great. A genuinely great, purposely dislikable, supportive character. They understood the assignment when it came to his role in the game, and I feel like they nailed it. Stan is one of the most memorable parts about Stan. What? Stan is one of the most memorable parts about the casting of Frank Stone, and my personal 5th place in this ranking. Oh, Jaime, you poor fella. I've mentioned how he reminds me a lot of Aaron and Eric, where it feels like the game just really wanted him to be gone, bro. Jaime is insanely likable. He's just a good kid, dude. Lots of great character traits shown, intriguing personality, just someone you really want to keep alive till the end. His writing in terms of the story is kind of unfortunate, which ultimately spawns from the fact that the writing of the entire story is just flawed to begin with, because after chapter 5 we just don't see him that much again, even if he does survive. Nonetheless, I feel like Jaime is just really likable. From the moment you first see him acting, to how he can be the heroic boyfriend and good brother, Kame is just filled with personality. Like, there's a reason he's so well liked across the community, despite the fact that his potential wasn't fully utilized, kind of like Max from the Quarry. Seriously, if they did a better job, Kame and Bonnie could have gone down as a legendary brother-sister duo. With the way it is, Bonnie is a fun supportive character, and Kame a very likable lead with not enough screen time, which is why he's placed 4 in this ranking. Oh, Chris, you're amazing. And I'm saying that because as a character, she's just really entertaining and adds some of the few interesting layers this game has to offer. I've seen so many split opinions on this character, which is in my opinion a really good thing. As I've said several times in my playthrough, her personality, dialogue and general acting throughout the game is extremely standout, especially in comparison to the other characters. While most of the cast is quiet, collected and chill, Chris is energetic, confident, somewhat cocky, but most importantly a breath of fresh air. She just stands out in every sense, with every piece of dialogue. Chris makes you react, whether in a positive or negative way, very similar to Emily and Until Dawn. On top of that, Chris is also arguably the character with like the only choices that really matter and feel intriguing, from the entire go back in time or stay in the future thing to potentially going back in time later again or not. Her character just actually feels exciting in every way, both the general writing of her character and how the character actually turns out to be. Like whenever Chris pops up on the screen, it was a good time, which is why she's my 3rd place in this ranking. Linda is great, both her younger version in 1980 and the future version in 2024. She's smart, likable, reasonable, and brings a sense of maturity to the screen, both with the 80s crew and with Madison and Stan. She feels like the centerpiece of the story all around, from the fact that she was so against the filming of the original movie to how she then tried to stop the viewing of it later as well. From start to finish, she feels important and well written. She has her own thoughts and opinions, tries to make herself heard, yet also just feels like a good friend. Her 2024 dialogue especially feels great, and it was just great to listen to her talk. Her transformation from shy girl with the camera to the confident and well-spoken producer was really well done. She's 100% flawless. I do think some of her character decisions can be odd at times, but I think it's clear that this is the character the game cares about the most, both in terms of screen time and story relevancy, which in combination with the fact that she's, like mentioned, really likable, puts her on the 2nd place of this ranking. Supermassive games and characters called Sam, a match made in heaven. Now, I know that probably not a lot of people would put Sam at the top of the list, but man, I thought he was fucking cool. In the first chapter, he's a young cop trying to do the right thing, being a heroic badass shooting down Frank Stone. In 1980, he's a scarred deputy trying to keep the kids and his son safe from any danger, trying to be a protective dad and figure of authority. While in 2024, he's a mysterious, somewhat even higher figure, like feeling character that will, not speaking clearly, once more tries his best to keep everyone safe. He really doesn't have that much screen time in comparison to Madison, Linda or Chris, but his playable sections were arguably the best in the game, both the very good first chapter and his triumphant rescue mission in chapter 13. Plus, his line against Frank Stone in chapter 14 is arguably my favorite in the entire game and among my favorite in all Supermassive games.
Sam, use your gun.
I already killed you once, Frank. And I'll do it again if I get the chance.
Let's fucking do it.
How sick is that? He killed Frank Stone as a human in the past and is now a timeline traveler, being face to face with an abomination, dropping a cold ball right into the monster's face, reminding him of the fact that he killed him and will do so again. Like, holy shit, that's amazing. That moment alone solidified him as my favorite man. He's a simple but effective character, a heroic young cop, a protective hero as a father, and a grey bearded badass as a time traveler. I fucking love it. And that's why he's my number 1. Trying to think about it.
That's it though. Sam and Frank having like their own little feud is pretty dope, given their history in 1963. That's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. That they're like, you know, kind of arch rivals. And I really hope that if Frank as champion comes into DBD, then that we get Sam as a survivor.
And that's it with my The Casting of Frank Stone character rankings. What do you think about my picks? Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and drop your ranking down below, and subscribe if you haven't yet. This was probably my last The Casting of Frank Stone video. The only thing I thought about was doing a video where I play the branch where Chris stays in the future, but I don't know. I got like 10 games I would rather want to play in the moment. In the upcoming few days, I will wrap up my Eon Isolation playthrough before in less than 2 weeks we see each other for the Until Dawn remake. I would like to drop another Supermassive Games tier list before that. Either way, I will hope you have an amazing start into your weekend, and I'll see you soon.